Syracuse and Tennessee play each other in about 2 weeks, and neither team knows who their starting quarterback is going to be. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer, and thank you for making us your first listen of every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day, and we are always free and available wherever you get your podcasts, whether you're watching Locked On Syracuse right now on YouTube or you're listening on your favorite audio platform. On today's show, our first check-in with the Tennessee Volunteers, Syracuse's Week 1 opponent on August 30th down in Atlanta, Georgia to kick off the college football season for 2025. We'll go over how Tennessee is currently having a battle for their starting center position, plus the challenge that lies ahead for Syracuse football. We're also going to compare and contrast the quarterback battles between Syracuse and Tennessee. But first, we're going to go over the numerous candidates that have a chance to start for Tennessee against Syracuse on opening day. All that and more here on today's edition of Locked On Syracuse. And before we get to everything, this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Just like Syracuse, Tennessee also has its own quarterback competition as far as who is going to start in Week 1. And head coach Josh Heupel over at Tennessee has not indicated who seems to be the front runner, who looks like is going to start against Syracuse. And of course, that is all by design. There are 3 candidates for Tennessee. That's right. 3 potential QB1s against Syracuse in Week 1. We'll go in alphabetical order here. I'll give you the 3 right now. You got Joey Aguilar, George MacIntyre, and Jake Merklinger. And each of them have something over the other 2 quarterbacks. I said we're going to go in alphabetical order. So let's start with Joey Aguilar, 6'3", 225 pounds. He is a senior, a transfer from Appalachian State over in the spring. He came over to Tennessee after the whole Nico Iamaleava debacle, which we really don't need to get to into anymore. It's already mid-August. The football season's around the corner. Who cares about that now? All I need to know is that Joey Aguilar transferred in the spring from App State. What he has over the other 2 options is experience. It's experience. He has played in 25 games over the past 2 seasons, and he has started 24 of those games. And his stats, they're pretty good. They're not otherworldly. They're not best quarterback in the country type stats, but they are pretty solid. 60% completion rate. Maybe you would like that to be a little bit higher if you are a Tennessee fan. I guess if you're a Syracuse fan, 60% completion percentage, pretty good for us, right? Over 6,700 yards, though, so he can throw the football, right? 56 touchdowns to 24 interceptions. He does turn the ball over quite a bit, but he makes up for it by the fact that he throws a lot of touchdowns. Still has a touchdown-interception ratio of 2.3 to 1. He can also move a little bit. I wouldn't sit here and say he is Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts or Kyler Murray, any of those running quarterbacks, but he can certainly move. And if Joey Aguilar is the starting quarterback against Syracuse in Week 1, Syracuse is going to have to game plan for potential designed QB runs. He can get outside the pocket and he can use his legs, even though the rushing numbers over the past 2 seasons don't necessarily jump out the page. He is an athletic quarterback. Now, you know the floor with Joey Aguilar, given his experience, is the fact that he's probably a pretty solid college football quarterback. I would not go necessarily more than just that. Pretty solid. I don't necessarily think he's going to be all SEC or all America. He's good. The question with him, though, is does he really have the ceiling for Tennessee? And how much does that really impact the game against Syracuse? Is Tennessee going to try to keep it safe and play a guy like Joey Aguilar? Or do they go with another option who may have more upside against Syracuse? Now, one thing I should mention, though, about Joey Aguilar is that, yeah, he's coming over from the Sun Belt Conference. So this is a step up for him. Obviously, playing in the SEC and playing against an ACC opponent like Syracuse is a step up from usual competition. But also keep in mind that Tennessee's got better talent around him, which should be able to offset the fact that he is jumping up a level in college football. So that's Joey Aguilar. He is one candidate to potentially start for Tennessee against Syracuse in week 1. And Syracuse fans, what do you think about Joey Aguilar? Does he scare you? Comment in the comments section below. Next up, you got George MacIntyre, 6'6", 190-pound, 4-star, true freshman ESPN top 10 quarterback in the class of 2025. MacIntyre is from Tennessee, and what he has over the other two quarterbacks is perhaps the highest ceiling of them. So I mentioned a guy like Joey Aguilar probably has the highest floor given his experience. Well, George MacIntyre, he doesn't really have any experience, but he does perhaps have the highest ceiling. Scouting reports suggest that he's got a good arm. He's more of a pocket passer, but he is very, very good at evading pressure within the pocket. Want to know who the GOAT of football is at evading pressure inside the pocket? It just so happens to be the GOAT himself, Tom Brady. So it's a very nice skill to have, being able to move around the pocket and avoiding the pressure within it. According to ESPN analyst Greg McElroy, a former NFL quarterback and a quarterback at Alabama, led them, I believe, to a national championship game. MacIntyre has been essentially tearing it up at camp, even though he is a true freshman. He essentially has forced Josh Heupel to include him in the quarterback competition, because you'd figure with a program like Tennessee, with all the talent they have, how would any true freshman really get on the field for him? Well, he's done a terrific job. He is going to have to add on some weight. He's a little bit lanky, 6'6", 190 pounds. He'd prefer him to probably be 220 pounds. But again, he might have the highest ceiling of the three options. Does Tennessee give him a shot in week 1 against Syracuse? I guess we'll find out in about 2.5 weeks. And finally, you got Jake Merklinger, 6'3", 215-pound redshirt freshman. His advantage that he has over the other two is familiarity. He was with Tennessee last season, so he understands the scheme, he understands the coaches, he knows some of the personnel. He was with the program last season, and he also has some upside. After all, he is also a former 4-star recruit in 2024. He was rated as high as the 6th best quarterback in the country over on Rivals. Last season, he did appear in 2 games. He threw 9 passes, completing 6 of them for 48 yards. Those games were against Chattanooga and Kent State. Also ran for 22 yards, so he can move a little bit as well. So those are the 3 potential options for Tennessee in week 1 against Syracuse. And hey, Syracuse fans, which one do you want Tennessee to start in week 1? Comment your thoughts right now in the comment section below. Now, coming up, we will compare and contrast the Tennessee quarterback situation to the Syracuse quarterback situation. So stick with me here on Locked On Syracuse. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's where there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Monarch makes it simple to review my finances with my partner. We can both see budgets, goals, and spending activity in one place. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONCollege. This is Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer, and we are less than 3 weeks away from the start of Syracuse football season when they travel down to Atlanta, Georgia for a neutral site battle against the Tennessee Volunteers. We just went over the 3 potential candidates to start for Tennessee in week 1 against Syracuse. Now let's compare and contrast the quarterback situations for these schools. Let's start with how they're different. Number 1, you got 3 guys battling at one school and 2 battling at another. We went over the 3 over at Tennessee. The 2 at Syracuse. Syracuse fans, you know this by now. Ricky Collins, LSU transfer, got to campus in December. And then you got Steve Angeli, Notre Dame transfer, who came over in the spring after Ricky Collins was originally named the starting quarterback. So that's one way they're different. Number 2, Tennessee, 2 of their 3 guys are in-house recruits. And with Syracuse, you got 2 transfers. George MacIntyre and Jake Merklinger over at Tennessee, both homegrown, both former 4-star quarterbacks. Joey Aguilar is the lone transfer from Appalachian State. With Syracuse, they're both transfers. We just mentioned them. Ricky Collins from LSU, Steve Angeli from Notre Dame. The only way that this really matters, though, because there's a reason why I'm bringing it up, is if Tennessee decides to go with the familiarity route, which is Jake Merklinger, because Merklinger is the only one of the 3 over at Tennessee that was with the program last season. MacIntyre is a true freshman, and obviously Joey Aguilar comes over from Appalachian State. But that's another reason how Syracuse and Tennessee are just a little bit different with their quarterback battles. But they're also similar in a few ways. Number 1, I think all of these quarterbacks, to an extent, have a tremendous prior pedigree that suggests that all of them could be future starting quarterbacks in college football, whether it's for Tennessee, whether it's for Syracuse. I think all these guys could start in power conference football if given the chance. I think all of them probably could. Joey Aguilar was an all-conference player for 2 years over at Appalachian State. And Tennessee has 2 4-star recruits waiting right there. And they're both in the competition. I think those are guys that one day, if it's not at Tennessee, they will probably enter the portal and get their shot to start somewhere else. Collins and Angeli at Syracuse, both former 4-star high school recruits, coming over from big-time programs in the transfer portal. LSU and Notre Dame are 2 of the best programs in the nation. Or I should say 2 of among the best. They are not the 2 best. They are 2 of among the best. So that's one way that they are very similar. All these quarterbacks seem to have a strong pedigree. But here's another thing. Both of these head coaches, Fran Brown, Josh Heupel, they are playing this to perfection. None of them are really tipping their hand. We could sit here and we could try to guess who the starting quarterback is going to be at Syracuse. We could sit here and try to guess who the starting quarterback is going to be at Tennessee in week 1. But we don't know for sure as of right now. Both these coaches are just taking their time and they're waiting for the right opportunity to eventually announce a starter. Both are eventually going to have to announce one sooner or later, whether it's the end of this week or next week. It's going to happen eventually. But for now, both these coaches are being tight-lipped. They're not really saying anything. Now, with Tennessee, I think it's going to be Joey Aguilar just because of the experience. And they brought him over in the portal for a reason. He's probably going to be the starter. But again, We don't know for sure. But with Syracuse, you could check the comments of these podcasts. Everyone seems to be split. You got some people in the comment section saying it's going to be Ricky Collins. We know it's Ricky Collins. We got some people saying it's Steve Angeli. He's coming over from Notre Dame for a reason in the spring, right? We don't know for sure, but we do have a little bit of news. I don't know how much we should really buy into it, though. That's the issue. Fran Brown did say publicly on the Syracuse Orange official YouTube channel, he did an interview, I believe, with Matt Park, that he's picking a quarterback after the next scrimmage, which is this weekend. So we are actually going to have our answer pretty soon as far as who is going to be the starting quarterback for Syracuse football. That should be determined this weekend. But second, is it a hint or is it not? I'm going to tell you what he said. Okay, I'm paraphrasing. He said that it's Ricky's job to lose. I'm referring to Ricky Collins. But he said it in a way where it's because Ricky Collins was originally named the starting quarterback. He was originally named the starting quarterback before Steve Angeli was there. And he also proceeded to say that Steve Angeli is really good and that he deserves a legitimate chance to be the starting quarterback. You can take that information for what it's worth. If you want to sit here and say that maybe Ricky Collins, as of right now, has a slight edge over Steve Angeli, that's totally fine. In fact, at this point, because Fran Brown said that, that's what I'm inclined to believe. But I'm not going to sit here now and proclaim Ricky Collins is the starting quarterback of Syracuse football. I still think that that is going to be determined in the next scrimmage. Comment your thoughts in the comments section below right now, who you think is going to start for Syracuse week 1 against Tennessee. And who do you think is going to start for Tennessee against Syracuse? Comment your thoughts in the comment section below. Now, coming up, we'll talk about how Tennessee has another position battle and also the challenge that lies ahead for Syracuse football. Stick with me here on Locked On Syracuse. This is Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer. We still got plenty more to talk about here on today's show. But first, thank you all so much for making it this far in the podcast. I hope that means that you enjoy Locked On Syracuse. And if so, if you can just do me a quick favor, it's completely free. Just hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel grow to reach all Syracuse Orange fans. And of course, thank you to all those who continue to like and subscribe to Locked On Syracuse each and every day. You all are truly the best. Tennessee doesn't just have a quarterback battle, just like Syracuse doesn't just have a quarterback battle, but going through all the websites, going over, checking out Locked On Vols, they don't seem to have as many position battles, in my opinion, compared to Syracuse. Whether that's a good thing, whether that's a bad thing, that's to be determined. But the big one for Tennessee that they definitely have right now, a position battle to monitor, is the center position. Very interesting how they have a quarterback battle as well as a center battle. They don't know who their center is going to be, and they don't know who their quarterback is going to be. Very, very interesting, because you want those guys preferably to be in sync come opening day against Syracuse. Give them as many chances as possible, as many reps as possible. We'll see. It might not matter in the end, or maybe they can develop that chemistry quickly, but the center position is also a battle to monitor over at Tennessee. They're replacing an All-American over there. They had Cooper Mays last season. The battle right now for the center spot there is between redshirt freshman William Satterway, a former 4-star recruit, and Notre Dame transfer Sam Pendleton. He made 7 starts over at Notre Dame last year at left guard, and he also was their backup center over there. This leads me to discuss the challenge that lies ahead for Syracuse against a program like Tennessee. I think there's a reason why the Orange right now over on FanDuel are 14.5-point underdogs. Of course, Syracuse has a puncher's chance. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Syracuse has no way of upsetting Tennessee. Upsets do happen. In fact, I'll look ahead to the show tomorrow. We're going to talk about past SEC, ACC upsets and what those ACC teams had in common and how they can potentially relate to Syracuse football in week 1 against Tennessee. But the challenge is that Tennessee, at least on paper, has more talent than Syracuse. Let's just be honest. Let's just get that out there. On paper, before the season starts, Tennessee has more talent than Syracuse. They are loaded across the board with 4-star recruits, 5-star recruits, 4-star transfers, you name it, they have it. There's a reason why Tennessee is in the AP top 25, and they also have one of the best head coaches in the country in Josh Heupel. So we could sit here and we could talk about how, hey, look, they got to replace a really great player from last season. I mean, Dylan Sampson, their running back, an edge rusher, and a guy like James Pierce. How are they going to replace those guys? Those were elite players last season, all SEC, all American caliber players. They still got plenty behind them. They have a lot of depth. Again, a lot of 4-star and 5-star talent. I also do want to shout out Eric Kane, the host and producer of Locked On Vols. Tennessee fans, if you found this podcast, you are probably well aware of him. He's keeping you up to date with the latest over at Tennessee. But hey, Syracuse fans, if you want more information about the Tennessee Volunteers, more of an expert opinion than myself, because I'm doing my best here talking about Tennessee as a Syracuse host and producer, hey, check out Locked On Vols with Eric Kane. He does a tremendous job over there. So overall, that just about does it. We know that Tennessee has a quarterback battle between 3 potential quarterbacks. It's similar and different to Syracuse, and they also have a big battle at the center position. And hey, Syracuse fans, what do you think is going to happen in week 1 against Tennessee? Drop your prediction right now in the comments section below. Look, I will give you my prediction, but that's going to wait, okay? Because we're going to have plenty of content here on Locked On Syracuse in the week leading up to Syracuse and Tennessee. That's right. We have the rest of this week of podcasts, and then the following week of podcasts is kind of the last week of preseason, talking about the team overview and everything like that. And then the following week, we're diving headfirst into Syracuse and Tennessee and everything that comes with it. All right. As far as what is coming up on Locked On Syracuse, though, in the near future, tomorrow, I already mentioned this earlier, we're going to take a look at the recent history of ACC upsetting the SEC and how it can relate to Syracuse football. We can also look at how Tennessee has done versus the ACC over the years and how Syracuse has done versus the SEC over the years. Spoiler alert, it's been a little bit since Syracuse took on an SEC team. That's coming up tomorrow. Then on Friday, we got a Poll Friday mini podcast for you all. If you could fix one thing about Syracuse football from last season to this season, what would it be? And I gave you 3 options. You got offensive line play, more specifically the run blocking, tackling. Tackling was a massive issue for Syracuse last season, and special teams play. Again, special teams, also a pretty big issue for Syracuse last season. So that's what's coming up here on Locked On Syracuse in the near future. Thank you for making us your first listen today. Now for your second listen, you got a few options. You can check out the Locked On Portal Show with football recruiting expert Brian Smith. He's got the latest rumors and signings in all of college football recruiting each and every day. You can find that show on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also check out Locked On ACC with our very own hosts, Alex Dono and Kenton Gibbs. They keep you all up to date with all things ACC, you know, the conference that Syracuse is in. And if you want a more broad perspective of college football, beyond just recruiting, beyond just the ACC, you can check out Locked On College Football on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts with our host, Spencer McLaughlin. So those are all the shows you can check out here on the awesome Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. If you like this podcast, be sure to hit that like button. If you really enjoy the podcast, be sure to hit subscribe. And even just do me a favor, tell 1 or 2 of your closest Syracuse friends about the Locked On Syracuse podcast so this channel can grow and reach all Syracuse Orange fans. And ladies and gentlemen, we're just 2.5 weeks away from the start of the Syracuse football season, and you're going to want to subscribe right here to Locked On Syracuse to stay up to date with all the latest with Syracuse football. Take care, everyone.